All right, welcome back everyone. Today we are going to start learning about iteration and loops in coding and in the microbit specifically. So the value of iteration in programming, meaning how valuable it is, how useful it is when you're writing a program. To do iteration, it's used all the time in all sorts of programs. Just about everyone out there has some sort of iteration. And we're going to learn a specific type of iteration called looping, which you could probably figure out just from the name. So iteration is just a fancy word for repetition. So you're doing the same thing over and over. You can iterate or repeat a process or sequence of steps, which is useful in a lot of different applications. We'll look at a few of those today. And when we're doing iteration in a computer program, we often use what are called loops. There's 3 types of loops. We're going to learn all 3 of them. But that's how you get a computer to repeat a certain section of code. So first, let's think about one situation in which you may have iteration or a loop. See if you could write an algorithm or a sequence of instructions or steps on how you would shampoo your hair and what a loop would look like. Now, if you look at the instructions on a shampoo bottle, it often gives this algorithm, and that's simply first you start, you add shampoo, then you lather, then you rinse, and then you repeat. And so that's the algorithm, or that's the loop or the iteration involved in shampooing your hair. And if you look on a bottle, you'll often see this sequence. Now, this is a goofy joke, but it works. It says the programmer got stuck in the shower because the instructions on the shampoo bottle said lather, rinse, repeat. Notice how it never says to stop. So a computer program, if you wrote this as your algorithm, it's going to keep going forever and ever and ever. It's going to lather, rinse, repeat, lather, rinse, repeat, lather, rinse, repeat. And that's what's called an infinite loop. So we have to be careful of infinite loops and make sure we don't do that. So let's think of another application of this. Let's say that you're going to write pseudocode, which is fake code. It's instructions in human language is what pseudocode is. But you're going to write instructions on how to get someone to walk around a chair. So I would start on one corner, and you would want me to be able to walk all the way around. If we were in person, we'd do this in person, you'd tell me, but think about it to yourself. Pause the video if you need to. Maybe write down what you think those instructions would look like. But this is probably what you came up with. First, you're going to step forward, then you're going to turn left, then step forward, then turn left, then step forward, then turn left, then step forward, then turn left, and I'm back where I started. Notice this takes 8 lines of code to do this. But we're repeating this sequence here. Step forward, turn left. So a loop allows us to have this set of instructions more efficient. So instead of having 8 lines of code, we could simply have 3, where we say repeat 4 times, step forward, turn left. And now in 3 lines of code, we can do what these 8 lines of code do. And that's shows the value of iteration and loops. It allows you to condense your code to where you don't need as many lines of code, and yet you can still do really complex things. So we are going to start learning about these 3 blocks, which are different loop blocks in MakeCode. Today we're going to look at the repeat block, and we're going to make a program with a repeat block. Next time, we're going to use the for block and the while block, and we'll make something with that next time. So first, let's take a look at the repeat block. So repeat is simply what it sounds like. You're going to repeat whatever it is a certain number of times. And in this case, we are going to do something similar to the walking around the chair algorithm, but we're going to do it on the microbit. So let me hop over to MakeCode and we'll take a look. So here I'm in MakeCode, And the first thing that I always like to do and think you should do as you're writing a program is come down here and rename it so that it you know what the program actually is. So in this case, we want to name the program repeat. Oops, I can spell, I promise. I just can't spell and type and talk at the same time. So we're going to call this repeat block. That way we can remember that this specific program is teaching me how to use a repeat block. So the goal of this program is to get a sprite, which in the case of our microbit is just one LED lit up. And we want it to start here at this point, and it's going to walk around in a square until it gets back to the beginning, just like me walking around the chair. So the first thing that we need to do then is to create our sprite. Excuse me. So we are going to make a new variable. So click on variables, make a variable, and call it sprite. Oops. I'm going to slide this over so we can see it a little better. Maybe even zoom in a bit. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. So we've got a new variable and it's called sprite. And what we want to do is when the program first starts, we are going to create that sprite. So that means we need this on start. We're going to drag this set sprite to 0 in here on the on start. And we can get rid of this forever. We're not going to use it. So when the program first starts, we create a variable called sprite. And right now it's set to 0, but we'll fix that here in just a sec. We now need to turn this variable into a sprite. And the way that we do that is if you go here under advanced and game, now you notice, hey, we've got all these different sprite things. And this is where you get a lot of different functions that are useful for games like set life, set score, add life, remove life, blah, blah, blah. So you got lots of different things here. And the block that we want is this one here, where it says create sprite at x2, y2. Notice it's got rounded edges. That means it can go in here. So we're going to drag this create sprite into that box. Now, if you look at your microbit, you have your sprite right there at 2, 2. That's what this does, is it will create a sprite at this specific location. So you can think of this LED matrix as a graph. And you have an origin, which is 0, 0. And as you move to the right, your X goes up. And then as you move in the Y direction, that's up and down, the Y goes up. Now, one difference here compared to a regular graph is normally you start on the bottom right corner, and this would be 0, 0. But notice as I hover over that LED, that's actually 4, 4. And this is 0, 0. So the origin is the top left corner. And then x1 would be here, so that'd be 1, 0. Oh, come on. Yeah, it doesn't want to show it. This would be 2, 0, 3, 0, and 4, 0. So as you go up in X, you go to the right. And as you go up in Y, so 0, 1 is actually this one. This is then 0, 2, 0, 3, and 0, 4. So as the Y number increases, it actually goes down. And that's because in programming, while we still use X and Y coordinates, it is set up slightly different. So normally, you would go up as Y goes up, but in programming, usually as Y goes up, it actually goes down. Kind of silly, kind of weird. You'll get used to it. If you ever forget what the coordinate is for any of these, you can just put your mouse over it and hover, and it will tell you, except for these ones for some reason, it'll tell you what the coordinate is at that point. All right, so we want to actually start our sprite up here on the top left corner. So that means we need to set our coordinates to 0, 0. And notice when I do that, boom, it moves it over there. And just to verify, 1, 0 is here. 2, 0 is here. So as x goes up, we can see that sprite is moving to the right. Oops, until at 4, 0, it's all the way to the right. And that's what we want. That's what we're going to end up doing, is we're going to move this sprite to the right. Now, one thing you could do is have a bunch of set blocks and set it to specific positions, but that would be a pain. There's a much easier way to do this than to set it to specific values. So I'm going to move it back to 0. And we're going to get an input here. That way it doesn't move until I tell it to. So when we press A, it's going to start moving. And that's what we're going to put in here. Now think about it. If we want it to move to the right and get all the way to here, how many times does it need to move? Well, it needs to move 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's going to turn and then move 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's going to turn and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And then turn 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means the sequence that we're going to have it do is going to repeat 4 times. So we want to go to loops, and you notice there's all of our different loops, and we need this one, repeat 4 times. And that's our repeat block. If I hover over it, it tells you what it does. It'll do some statement several times. You can define how many times it'll do it in here, but we want it to repeat 4 times. Now we can go back to our game, and you notice it's got this move by, which is nice. So we're going to drag this move by, oh, maybe. We're going to drag that move by in there. And now when I press A, you'll notice, hey, it moved 4 times. And if I press it again, it doesn't do anything because it can't move any further to the right. If I reset this program and click the slow-mo, it'll do that same program, but it'll do it slowly. And notice when I click A, it moves once, and then goes back, repeats, moves once, repeats, moves once, repeats, moves once, repeats. And you can see over here, it highlights what line of code is being executed. So we've got it moving 1 place to the right each time. Now we want it to turn, and we don't want it to just move here. We want it to actually move here, then here, then here, then here. So instead of moving well, we'll get there. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So we want it to move, and then we want it to turn. And notice in game here, we have a turn. Now, if it tries to turn at 45 degrees, 45 degrees is an angle like this. So that would be 0, 45, it would turn and go in this direction. So we want it to turn 90 degrees. So we need to change this to 90. So it's going to move, and then it's going to turn 90 degrees. You can't really see the direction it's facing, but visualize it as turning 90 degrees. So it moves, turns 90 degrees, so it's facing this way instead of that way. It's going to move again. And if I run it, let's press A. Notice it moves 1, it turns, it moves 1, it turns, it moves 1, it turns, it moves 1, and it turns again, so that if I press it again, it's going to go in that loop 1 more time. Now, it's only moving right here, though, and we wanted it to move to the corners. So what do you think we need to do to move it to the corners instead of just the 1 space? So you're probably right. We need to change this block right here. Right now, it's just moving 1 and then turning. We want it to move 4 places and then turn. That way it moves 1, 2, 3, 4, turns, 1, 2, 3, 4, turns, 1, 2, 3, 4, turns, 1, 2, 3, 4, turns. That way it goes to the corners. And now when I press A, I'm still going to have it in slow motion because without that, it just goes and you can't really see it. So in slow motion, we let it go. It's going to move 4, turn, move 4, turn, move 4, turn, and move 4, turn. It's good to go. It's ready to go to where if I press A again, it'll repeat that one more time. So this shows you the value of a repeat block. We could have done the same thing by having move by 4, turn right by 90, 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 with 8 lines of code. But we were able to do the exact same thing with only 3. And that's the advantage of a repeat block. If you have the same section of code that's going to repeat over and over, it's a lot easier just to take the repeating sequence and put it inside of your repeat block. So that's how the repeat block works. So remember, we called it repeat block. I'm going to even add in 4 corners. That way I can remember this is moving it to the 4 corners. And what I would strongly suggest is download this program and save it to your Google Drive. That way you can refer back to this later on. The way to do that is you simply hit download. You pick wherever it is you're going to save it, and then hit save. And then if you want to upload it to your Google Drive from here, you'd simply go to drive.google.com, and then you hit the plus, and then you would upload that file. And then if you have a physical microbit, you then can plug in your microbit, drag that .hex file over to the microbit. It'll show up as a drive. It'll copy it to the microbit, and then you can run it on your physical microbit. So that's how we use a repeat block. As I said, next time we will learn about the for loop and the while loop, which are our 2 other main types of loops. We won't get into this one. That's a bit more complex for what we want to handle today, but that's another example of a for loop. It's just a different layout of your for loop. So these are the same, just slightly different formatting. So next time we'll do while and we'll do for, and we'll be able to do even more complex stuff. So once you get this done, go ahead and hit done on the assignment, and you are good to go. And we'll see you next time.